Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced he has fired former FBI.
Hi, my name is Mira. I'm your family phonologist.
How could she be a doctor?
So when I use the word packed, am I describing your schedule or your suitcase?
Schedule.
Our schedule.
I think
I'd rather it be our suitcase.
I would too.
I'd rather it be my suitcase too. Just look at how much fun you guys could be having. Plan a fun getaway today at visitwilliamsburg.com/fun.
At 11 starts now with breaking news.
And that breaking news tonight coming from the Department of Justice, where less than an hour ago, Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced he has fired former FBI Director Andrew McCabe less than 2 days before he was set to retire. Tom Rousey tracking the details from the live desk right now. Tom.
Yeah, Nancy, this is really a Friday night surprise as the Attorney General fires a man who has often been criticized by President Trump. Now, although Andrew McCabe had stepped down from the FBI's #2 position in January, he was officially still an employee. McCabe was involved in the Russia and the Hillary Clinton email investigations and was sometimes accused of pro-Clinton bias. The FBI had recommended he be fired after it was found that he allowed sensitive information to reach the media and then allegedly misled investigators about it. He had planned to retire on Sunday, and tonight's firing could cost him his retirement benefits. But tonight, McCabe, he defended himself in a statement saying, quote, "This attack on my credibility is one part of a larger effort, not just to slander me personally, but to taint the FBI, law enforcement, and intelligence professionals." Now, meanwhile, the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, also put out a statement saying the investigation into McCabe was, quote, fair. Reporting live at the live desk, I'm Tom Rousey, ABC 7 News.
Thank you. And happening now in Loudoun County, a police investigation at the popular One Loudoun development in Ashburn. Police right now looking for a man they said fired several gunshots into the air and then took off. That man apparently involved in some kind of dispute with a woman before he pulled the trigger. She was not hurt, but police are still looking for that man tonight. And turning now to the storm watch forecast as we look at a damp day for your St. Patrick's Day activities. We are talking cold, we're talking rain, we're talking maybe even some snow. Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelly tracking it all for us. Bill?
Yeah, good evening, Nancy. It's that system that you just saw there off to the right-hand side of your screen out west. Let's just get straight to your futurecast. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, I don't expect anything. If you're going out tomorrow morning, you should be good to go, but clouds quickly increase as we head on into noon. We start seeing some of that off to our southwestern part of the viewing area. Then by the time we get into the early afternoon, this is at 2 o'clock, we pick up some of that moisture. Yeah, we could see some snow, basically some wet snowflakes mixed in, maybe a little sleet, little to no accumulation. I'm not expecting that, but it is going to be more inconvenient weather if you're making your way out and about tomorrow. Not a city shutdown, not an all-day type of thing, but I do expect that to roll into our area as we make our way across the region during your day tomorrow. But for the rest of tonight through tomorrow morning, we're going to be cold. You start out the door right around 32 degrees. A much bigger system next week. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes.
Bill, thank you. And breaking new details now on that deadly bridge collapse in Miami yesterday. 6 people killed when that newly installed pedestrian bridge came crashing down. And now we're learning about concerns with the structure reported days ago. Maggie Rulli has the details.
A bridge meant to keep students safe on the campus of Florida International University, now reduced to rubble.
Oh my God!
Nearly 1,000 tons of concrete, trapping at least 8 cars and even more victims underneath. One of those who lost their life, an employee of the construction company there working on the bridge. Another, according to the Miami Herald, 18-year-old FIU freshman Alexa Duran.
She always, wanted to make people laugh, and she was always the life of the party, everyone wanted to be around her.
What started as a desperate rescue mission for survivors has now become a painstaking recovery amid the rubble.
Our primary focus is to remove all of the cars and all of the victims in a dignified manner.
Now investigators are zeroing in on the moments before the collapse, when it's believed workers performed a stress test on the bridge. And a newly released voicemail left by a bridge engineer who called the Florida Department of Transportation before the collapse to tell them he saw a crack in the bridge.
The cracking is not good, and something's going to have to be
done to repair that.
Then they're questioning the university after the Florida Department of Transportation revealed that FIU, which was in charge of the project, did not hire a pre-qualified company to do a secondary design check of the bridge. Originally celebrated as a feat of modern engineering, seen here being installed just last Saturday in a matter of hours. Now authorities are questioning if it had adequate structural support.
Bridge design and the construction, obviously, that will be a focus of this investigation.
Recovery crews have been working here around the clock, desperately trying to clean up this wreckage and hoping to reopen this major highway as soon as possible. Maggie Bruley, ABC News, Miami, Florida.
Right now, a death investigation underway in Arlington's Ballston neighborhood. Police say someone called them asking them to check on a relative who lives in the Stafford Square townhomes. That's off North Stafford Street. When police got there, they found a man dead inside his home. There is no word yet on exactly how he died, but police say there is no known threat to the public. New at 11, remembering a father, husband, and friend. D'Angelo Green was killed when his car was hit by a DC fire truck a week ago as that truck responded to a call. Tonight, as Stephen Cheetah shows us, those who knew him are grieving the loss while still waiting for answers about exactly what happened.
That answers will come and that she will not stop until justice has been made.
They gathered at the spot where 31-year-old D'Angelo Green lost his life. His family and friends held a vigil to remember a man and support his wife and children.
He came to love us.
A fire truck responding to a call last Friday collided with Green's vehicle in the intersection of 12th and Rhode Island Northeast. The impact crushed Green's car, killing him. The whirl of vehicles also left a pregnant woman on the sidewalk injured. Tonight, Green's wife talked about the man she loved and the pain of losing him.
I haven't been home since it happened. I don't want to go in that apartment.
Amid the grieving, a looming question. D.C. police are investigating the collision, but Green's widow says 1 week after her husband's death, she still waits for information about the circumstances which led to the crash.
No.
What kind of communication?
I've had, but they haven't told me anything.
Stephen Cheetah, ABC 7 News.
A Prince George's County police officer has been indicted on mail fraud charges. Investigators say 33-year-old Adrian Brown filed a claim with a car insurance company that his car had been stolen. The problem is he didn't own that car. Brown's police powers were suspended back in 2015 when the investigation began. He is now on administrative leave without pay. And police say they have caught a diamond thief in his tracks. They say 20-year-old Inez Kimmel is behind a series of diamond thefts throughout Northern Virginia. They have arrested him on a warrant, and tonight he is facing a series of charges. And nearly 36 cats in the care of animal experts tonight. They are getting some much-needed medical attention after being rescued from hoarding conditions in the district. And our Heather Graff spoke to the Humane Rescue Alliance about that case and the road ahead for these cats.
At the Humane Rescue Alliance shelter on New York Avenue Northeast, it's been busy.
Everybody jumped into gear. We had staff who came in off hours to be able to help.
The team going nonstop ever since 35 cats were brought here late Thursday night.
Our officers had responded to a complaint at an apartment of a large number of cats. Upon their arrival, they found there to be a very strong odor of urine and waste.
Photos provided by HRA give us a glimpse into what's now being investigated as a potential hoarding case. And while charges haven't yet been filed against the owner, officers say she did surrender the animals right away, though many of them were in bad shape.
A lot of skin conditions. Some of them appear to be malnourished. We had some infected bite wounds, so really it kind of runs the gambit of a lot of different issues.
So for now, the cats are being nursed back to health here at the shelter, and once they're ready, the hope is